Welcome, or welcome back. I'm Goddess Dawn. It is Monday, April 1st, 2019. Unfortunately, this is not an April Fool's video. I'm here today to talk to you about the beloved Nipsey Hussle, aka Nipsey the Great. I don't want to do a disservice to his birth name, so I'll put it up on the screen. But yeah, man, we lost a real one yesterday. Nipsey came to us as an artist, a rapper, back in 2005 when he released his first mixtape. And he's been releasing music and grinding and growing ever since. Here we are, more than 10 years later, mourning him. And, he was just nominated for a Grammy for his debut album, Victory Lap. He did lose to Cardi B, but in our books, he's a winner. He's, the most, I would say, visible, independent LA artist, especially LA, who has risen from literally the bottom and now a full-blown celebrity. And unfortunately, his life was taken from him at the young age of 33 years old. This really resonates with me even as I say that. Any of you who actually follow me and listen to me as I blabber on sometimes about my personal stuff. My husband was murdered also here in the streets of LA. We're talking 22 years ago, actually, this year in January. And he wasn't Nipsey Hussle as far as his visibility, but with regard to his neighborhood, his community, he definitely was that. He was also an employer of his people. He actually was one who gone to college and learned business and was able to implement that. So with that being said, I feel for Lauren London deeply. At the time, my son was only 4 years old. I do know how it feels to experience such a loss. You'll never find that same person. Not to say you'll never find love, but once someone is gone, it really does take a piece of you along with them. And I really am praying, for her well-being and her children. I know they have a son together, and she has another child also. And he also has another daughter, an older daughter. Sending just love and light to them all, everyone affected. I'm sure he has other family and people who care about him and love him deeply. And to lose someone that suddenly, where you can't have last words, you can't talk about things that may be important later on down the line. There is a lot of things that come into play when you lose someone, and when someone leaves this earth, there's still things that are left behind that need to be handled business-wise, not even just the service arrangements and things of that nature, but, just speaking that life for them doesn't go on, but for the people around them, it kind of does. You still have to deal with things, and you can't just walk away from the person. When you're deeply involved, there are things that have to be handled. There are things you have to face. There are things that may come to light that you weren't aware of that you have to deal with. Not all these things are good things, but things that will help you in the long run grow as a person and give you strength, because that's definitely something that you have to pull from when you're in this type of situation, is your inner strength. I hate that I'm here to talk about Nipsey in this light. Like I said, if you follow me, you know some things about me and my son specifically, that he's an independent artist in LA also. We have an independent label that we run together, and Nipsey has always been an inspiration, especially being in LA, knowing the impact that he has made and had continued to make. And just the fact that I was literally just 2.5 miles from where this all happened yesterday at a family member's house. I have family in town, so, you know, we're all kind of over there. And upon leaving, I hear the news about Nipsey. And even going home, I'm still only yet another mile away, so just 3.5 miles from the scene. I feel the energy in the air. So just to kind of go back, Nipsey Hussle was assassinated in South LA in front of his own business, a retail store called The Marathon. I'm pissed, I'm devastated, I'm heartbroken behind Nipsey's killing. You know, I always speak about LA and how it's not pretty out here, but in comparison to a lot of places, at least we have the weather. Like, really, that's all we can say is the natural resources that we have out here are the best things about the place. News is saying that there has been an incident at his vigil, which was being held in front of his store. The headlines say that there are people injured. Someone was stabbed. At least 19 people injured at about 8:30 p.m. and I'm in the Pacific time zone. It says that people were trampled, that they suffered as numerous people fell or were knocked to the ground as panicked crowds fled the scene. People, I think, had their children out there and their babies with them, and I don't know why, being that Nipsey was just killed there, and if anywhere, he should have been safe there. I would think that he would have been most protected there. But for some reason, people think it's okay to just show up right after the incident happens. The streets are hot. Like I said, helicopters have been through the skies for the past, since last night and today, throughout the day and tonight. I hear sirens way more than usual. But to hear multiple sirens, there was a news report yesterday and they mentioned that there have been retaliatory gunshots after the initial incident, but I haven't heard that anywhere else or since then. Sometimes I feel they just don't want to report that type of stuff to get people going, so that people don't like start trying to do their own thing and jump in it. It seems like once people find out something's going on, they want to be a part of it. So I'm pretty sure that's probably why we're not hearing about these gunshots. They're covering it up. Even I'm reading this article here about them saying that the fire department had reported the gunshots, but it had turned out to not be accurate. That doesn't sound right to me. But yeah, they identified this suspect named Eric Holder. They say he's 29 years old and that he's in Los Angeles. He's in a 2016 Chevy Cruze with the California license plate 7RJD742. And yeah, he's out on the streets loose. I don't 100% know if this is accurate information. Obviously, it is being reported by NBC News, and it looks like it just went up recently. As far as I can tell, this is the most recent information there is regarding the situation. Well, what do you know? Just as I'm editing this video, it turns out the suspect is now in custody. Hopefully, he gets everything coming to him. There's a, real grime in the air right now, a stench, if you will. The loss of Nipsey is definitely felt. And I'm going to just let the game tell it.
Driving down Slauson at 4 in the morning, man. Because I can't sleep behind what happened to Nip, man. Why niggas do the homie like that, man? At his own motherfucking stop. In his own fucking hood, man. Just try to do good for niggas, man. Shit crazy, man. I can't even fucking sleep, man. I'm disgusted by the shit. That's how y'all do the homie? In his own city, in his own hood, at his own place of business. That's how niggas do niggas, man. LA on some bullshit, homie, on me.
Nipsey Hussle was more than a rapper. But that's how we were introduced to him. He has evolved a great deal since he dropped his first mixtape. And, just a true independent, a trailblazer, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and just a real mogul. And the story that goes behind the rumor about what happened is this, and I don't know if it's true, it's alleged that the killer was someone who had been ousted from the hood or the gang for being a snitch. Supposedly paperwork was seen that showed that he had snitched. So this guy had been banned from the hood. He comes around, Nipsey sees him, basically lets him know that he's not wanted, he needs to leave. And he could have very well been embarrassed, but supposedly this is what triggered him to come back with a weapon and gun Nipsey down. And like I said, I don't know if that's the true story of what happened, but what I'm feeling right now is just a real betrayal. Nipsey was a real role model. He was the true blueprint on how to grow from the concrete and bloom. He was definitely blooming right before our eyes, and he and his girlfriend Lauren London were also couple goals. I mean, they just did a GQ spread together and did a lot of real cute promos together. I'm sure she's just broken right now, and from experience, I can tell her, Lauren, that you will be okay. You will be stronger for this. You will be definitely more attentive and conscious, hopefully, from this. I know that for me, it just made me a lot more aware, a lot more, again, conscious. I don't want to overuse that word, but just knowing that you need to be on your toes when you're out in the world, and you need to be aware of the type of things that are coming into your energy field, your children's. You want to, have kind of up the ante on your protection mode, and just know that life is sacred, and that, especially your children, they definitely just need you. So, but you'll get through, you'll love again, and you'll live. It's not going to be easy, especially at first. Time doesn't necessarily heal, I wouldn't say, because, it's a wound that still feels fresh today for me. But I would say that, like I said, it's just a piece of you that will probably feel like it's missing. And you'll sometimes have those pangs in your heart and your gut when you think of your loved one. But, you learn to look at it as it was an opportunity to feel love in the true form, and you have a child from him, as I did with my husband, and you look at your child and they live through them in a sense. So, not to dwell a lot on that. And I'm not, it's very soon to do any type of tarot readings. I don't even want to look in his pictures too much, because I start sensing things and getting messages. And I feel like it's definitely too soon from his transition to attempt those type of things, or even, even to go there. It's just a time for respect and quiet and connection. He went back to the spirit realm, and we could connect with him on that level, honestly. So, speaking of Lauren London, I actually met her back years ago in acting class at West LA College. She didn't last the whole class. She had ended up dropping out at some point. But not long after she did, I saw her in the Snoop Pharrell video, Drop It Like It's Hot. That was my first time seeing her after she dropped out of acting class, and since then she had gone on to do ATL, and the rest is history. But all that to say is that, she's definitely somebody who is also one to be looked at. I would be interested to see how she grows from this, and, how she ends up maybe teaching even from her experience, and maturing and growing as a woman. There's so many layers to us as women, but when you deal with a situation such as losing a loved one, at such a young age, especially, and when you have a child from then, you really don't have a choice but to grow and blossom even more and grow more layers, become more deep. Like there's just more depth to you when you go through something so heart-wrenching. And it's unfortunate that sometimes it takes these things to get us where we need to be in our personal ascension, but it just is what it is, and we have to just take what we get and run with it. So, again, with that, I offer just so much love and light and strength. I'm here for any meditation, help with connecting and activating the inner spirit and getting connected to feel like you're never alone, because you're not. But if you're not connected, you may as well be. Yeah, it's just a real shame. I'm just really, I'm actually dumbfounded by this. Just to know that 22 years ago, I experienced this with, my situation. And here we are again today. The good news is it looks like the police, have actually at least pretended to look like they're doing something, coming with this person's picture just a day later. And like I said, don't be so quickly to believe everything that the media feeds us. There's a certain gut feeling I think you might get when you know something's right. So, with that being said, Nipsey, he was doing a lot for the community, not just with this clothing store and the barber shop. And what else did he own? He owned, I think he owned a burger joint, also in the same area. So he was heavily involved in the real estate. I think he even mentioned that he was in escrow. He was buying 2 commercial buildings. And you have to understand that there's a lot of happenings in LA politically with regard to the new stadiums that are being built and the properties around the stadiums that are being snatched up by certain people. And they are wanting to grab up all the property. So, property wars and politics, those things are heavy duty in big cities such as LA. So this is why people sometimes say, sometimes you have to keep things close to the vest when you're involved in, doing good things. Sometimes you have to wait to announce certain things, because many people as may love what you're doing, you got even more sometimes that hate it or are jealous. So you want to make sure you protect what you're doing in these streets. Another thing people might also be thinking is that maybe he should have moved from his hood. Maybe he should have had other people handle his business in his hood. Could have possibly watched his kids grow and become adults and even maybe grandkids, and maybe, have had a chance at a full life. But that wasn't what was meant for him, and we can't dwell on those things. But one can't help but wonder if that's just the way to go. Like I said, my son does music also. We have been involved in some things and have those death threats are real when they do come through. I know Nipsey tweeted really an hour before, from what I understand, his death, that I think it said having strong enemies is a blessing. And when he said strong enemies, that said to me that he was getting threats, and that maybe the threats were coming from high places. Maybe he knew who the threats were coming from. He was maybe being threatened because of some of these business deals that were going on. I know he owned his masters, so, I'm not sure exactly. Who knows? And maybe we will never know exactly what was behind his actual death. But for now, we have a face, we have a suspect. But unfortunately, we don't have Nipsey. His daughter was supposedly there as well. I mean, it was right in front of his own business, as Game said. It's just so disrespectful and just a spit in the face. of a man who, in a way, sacrificed himself for his community, for his people. He did not have to be there, be so hands-on and helpful. He had many things that he had in the works, still doing the music, brought himself from an independent level all the way to Grammy nominated artist. We can't discount the fact that he was a gang member, a Crip, when he was a teenager. I don't know the details on that affiliation. From what it appeared is that he was simply a mouthpiece, like a PR person towards the end, and not an active member. But again, I don't know. I don't want to pretend to know. But we have to acknowledge the fact that he did come from that life. He was still living in the place that he was living that life. He was known, as a Crip, really, even though he did do music with artists such as, YG, again, The Game, who are pretty known bloods. So, we don't know what was behind the death again, but there's a lot of variables. There are a lot of things that are questionable. We don't even know if all these things could have been related. The hood guy could have been hired by the higher ups, and because they all had the same agenda. So they all got together and got it done. Bottom line is he's gone. Given a respectful amount of time, I will be back probably with a reading, but definitely not now. My heart is just sinks just thinking about tapping into his soul, and he'll come around though when he's ready. I know that for a fact. So I'll just wait patiently. It's kind of just so close to home though. It's just so hurtful. But rest in power, Nipsey, and rest in peace. And thank you again. You're gone much too soon. But thank you for doing you.
Inspiration that was bigger than Los Angeles. He also did inspire Los Angeles. You see all these people out here? Whether you're a former gang member, whether you were a business owner, or no matter who you were, he was willing to partner to bring things to this community that we are now going to lose.
Again, sending love out to his family and his friends and his people. And I'm definitely feeling this one. I'm sure a lot of you are also. And for those of you who aren't as familiar, here's a video that I'm going to leave you with that will kind of give you a whole tour through who he was as a person and what he was about. I think that they did a good job with this clip. So I'm going to leave this here. Thank you as always for stopping by. I appreciate you. And yeah, if you want to reach out to me, go ahead and email me. I'll put my email up. I have been really, really busy with not only my actual life, but doing personal readings from people who have seen me through this platform as well as Instagram. So I am still doing the readings and booking appointments. It's just they're further and further out because I have more people that I'm working with. But I do appreciate you guys reaching out to me. So feel free to email me. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and of course subscribe here if you haven't done so already. Comment and like the video also. Thank you. Watch this video though. Tell me what you think in the comments. You can leave blue hearts. I always leave blue hearts because blue represents peace as opposed to red, which usually represents violence. So I usually use blue hearts when I'm leaving my emojis for love. So for Nipsey, let's drop some blue hearts in the comments. And till next time, y'all. Peace.